What up, brother? 2025. Do you know that?
Can't believe it, man.
You want to
It's
say it?
here.
Go ahead. You could say it if you want.
Happy New Year.
Oh my gosh. Every time Tom says that, I'm like, you got X amount of days left, X amount of days left. By the time this comes out, that phrase will be illegal, my friend. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, this will come out the 17th. Yeah, so it might be illegal by then.
I'm not a fan of when people tell me Happy New Year. I'm like, bro, it's the 10th. Like, I'm in it. Let's go. What have you been doing?
Let's go. All right, let's go then. Let's
Yeah, here
go.
we go.
What have you been doing?
Me, I took a much deserved and much needed break. I was in Miami. We do really like we spoil our freaking kids and ourselves, and we deserve it. But my daughter, I asked her, so how'd you like the trip? She's like, kind of boring. I'm like, perfect. That is what I was going for. I wanted boring because my wife and I do so much excitement for them, but mommy and daddy need boring once in a while.
Yes, we do.
And we had a freaking wonderful time. The amount of naps I took, I went to bed early. I woke up late. It was wonderful.
That's awesome, man.
How about
I
you?
love that. Oh, I'm great, man. It was great. You were away, so I get a mental vacation. I get some rest in the brain, and because and I mean that with all love and affection, because you and I are very different people. Adam is a boom, 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 let's go, and I'm a processor. I need to figure things out. I need to think things through. So for me, it was a great mental vacation for a couple of days that you were away. So,
What?
but I missed you, man. It was
Missed
it was
it.
it was quiet. My brain was quiet for a few days, so
Mm.
it was nice.
There you go. Well, time to get noisy again. Here we go. All right, so our Q&A sessions, we have two of our members here, Adele and Brad. So we're going to have you introduce yourselves, then we're going to have you ask any questions that you want of us. So when you introduce yourself, tell people who you are, what you do, and the best place to find you. So Adele, why don't you go first?
Sure. Adele Viola, Gift by Adele. I am a professional gifting company that can help you out with all of your gifting needs for clients. I am on Instagram under gifts.by.adele, and more to come.
Love it. And Brad.
Yep. Thanks, guys. My name is Brad Voorhees. I live in Metro Detroit. So everybody's going to say, go Lions and all this type of stuff, right? Yep. We're looking really good.
Let's go, Mets.
Yeah. As you can see, I got the Braves here. I'm more of a baseball person, but very happy that the Lions are doing well. I am an HR advisor for small businesses, typically 30 to 300 employees that either don't have any HR support at all or they lack strategic and experienced HR person. So if you don't live here in Metro Detroit, because I'm very active in the community here, I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So I post daily. So anybody that doesn't live here in the area, you can always find me there.
Cool. Yeah, Brad's a great resource for all HR needs. He really is an expert at it. And so we appreciate you coming on, and we will put everybody's links below. So if you want to get in touch with them, you can find them right there on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever else they said. And Adele, we have personally used Adele for gifting to some of our clients, and we had some great feedback that we got from that. So thank you, Adele. All right. Adele, what questions do you have for us?
So I think my main question right now is when somebody is sending you an email and reaching out and introducing you to their business, what are some key points that you are interested in seeing? And what are some things that kind of turn you off? It's just too much information.
So we have very different communication styles, Tom and I. So why don't you take it first?
So you're saying if someone like you was going to reach out to us, what would be the key points that we want to see, right?
Yeah, what would be things that would attract you to read more and it not being overloaded?
I think it's what problem like we do in our 5WH system, we talk about what's the problem or the pain point or the thing that you solve, right? I'm always looking for, all right, how can this person help me? If, somebody's reaching out to me coldly and sending just an email, I'll skim that email and be like, all right, are they emphasizing what they can help me solve? If I have that problem, then it helps me to read more into what they're talking about. I look for that, and I look for I look for the personality, I guess, in that email, even though it's sometimes hard to find what personality there is. And this goes to email, this goes to DMing when you DM on LinkedIn or Instagram. I think you have to communicate that you're genuinely interested in helping the person or helping the business and not necessarily looking to make a sale and not being a pushy salesperson and being genuine in what you offer. And Adele, you have such tremendous one-liners that we've come up with recently that really communicate some of that genuineness, right? What do you do with gifts? What is it with gift baskets that you do?
We put the thought into your thoughtfulness.
See, I love that.
I love it. And what's the other one, Brad? Come on, Brad, you know it.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I knew you were going to. I'm not the one who created it. I just fully supported it that session. So you gotta help me out here.
Skip that was very HR the way he just handled that situation. Very good.
That's right. Did all accountability on answers.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of we think outside the basket.
That's exactly what it
was. Oh, that's cool. I like that one.
So those are the kinds of things, like the innovativeness that you're going to bring to gift giving. I mean, you specifically for gift giving, what's the innovative thing? Like, I just used you for one of my private clients who had a death in the family. We sent a comfort basket, and that was really cool. And so how can you help me with the things that I'm going to need?
Yeah, see, we are very, very different. So I am inundated by emails, and I am not an inbox zero guy. So one of my other businesses, I'm not joking, over 7,000 unread emails in the last month. It's just the last month. It's literally crazy. Tom knows I don't answer our emails and our thing, but I do answer certain ones. Okay, so emails will go by, and if you're really wanting to get in touch with me and you email me and I'm not getting an answer, you probably know how to actually get in touch with me. And if you really need it, you'll find me. So when I'm getting email introduction or DM introduction, any of those things to someone's business, their service, or anything else, I usually don't look at it at all unless two things happen. Number one is if it makes me laugh, I'm all in, because I handle problems for a living. Not only my own, I handle all my clients' problems for a living. And I don't want another freaking problem, another damn decision to make, another thought process to contemplate. I got shit to do. So if you're trying to tell me, hey, I solved this problem, well, do I have that problem? No, for me, I'm like, pass. If it becomes a problem, when it becomes a problem, maybe I'll reach out to you. Maybe I'll remember to search, but probably not. So when someone makes me laugh, I'm like, whew, reprieve. Here we go. That's freaking funny, especially the subject line. If it's clever, I'm like, all right, you're clever. All right, whatever. You're trying too hard. But if you really made me laugh, I'm like, that's good. And the second one is if it's very smart. And I don't mean book smart. I mean like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. And not about solving my problems, nothing else like that. But if it's really genuinely smart, a useful thing for me, not asking me to do something because I don't want to do something. I have stuff to do. Don't ask me to do something. But if it's very smart, now I'm intrigued. So those are the two things that will grab my attention in an email and a DM.
Well, the funny thing I do love that. I mean, I'm always cracking jokes. If anybody sees my Facebook, they might think there's something wrong with me, but that's okay. It's part of my charm. So that I definitely love. I have to figure out how to do that, though.
We just got a message from one of our... Where's my phone? Oh, it's right there. I'm using it to record.
It's right in front of you, right there, man.
Where is my phone?
Yeah, we got the best message. I got
a really great... I will not tell you what the message was, but as soon as I got a message, I'm like, this guy, another problem. And I opened it up and I'm dying laughing. It was wonderful. It made me feel good to the point where I left him a voice message like, I love you, pal. I love when you do this. Like, it makes me feel good. He got my attention. Now, if he really wanted to ask me something right after that and get me to do something, he could have got me right then and there. He could have asked me anything and I would have been, all right, I'm going to answer because you gave me laughter, because it was smart. So now because you gave me something, I'm willing to give you something. That's where I think of that.
Okay. I like that.
All right, Brad. What do you got for us now?
So I'm going to put you guys on the spot because here in Detroit on Eastern time, it's make-believe hour. Okay. So we're gonna come up with a scenario.
Hey.
You're a business owner.
See, he made Tom laugh and I think it's smart.
You got my nailed them both, which is really unlikely for an HR professional. So I must say that. I still got you guys laughing. You're a business owner. You have 120 employees. you have no HR support. You have an office manager that handles incoming new hire paperwork. You've got a controller that manages your broker relationship for your benefits and runs payroll. And you, as the owner, any employee issues come right to you. That's the scenario. Give me 2 reasons from both of you that say, all right, enough is enough. I need some HR help. Go.
It's a great question. It's a very good scenario and a great question. I'm not going to ask you for more information. We'll just use this. So number one is, if I'm in that situation, I have my controller. I have my office manager. They're handling that. I have 120 employees that now are coming to me with their own personal issues. So number one is I probably don't have enough time to effectively handle everybody's problem. And what that would most likely mean for me is I probably have a retention issue, okay? Or I probably have a bad hire issue. One of those two things is happening, which means that's probably taking much of my time away from growing this business to 240 employees. So the number one thing for me there would be that I built this company. I got to keep these people, and I'm kind of good at it, but I'm much better at growing my business. So retention would be number one for me. I wouldn't care about legal. I wouldn't care about compliance. I got a CFO, I got a controller, I got an office manager. They're probably watching out for me on that stuff. But who's watching out to make sure we keep these people? Because I can't trust my managers to do that, because they're worried about their own bonus checks, right? They're worried about sales. They're worried about those things. So someone needs to really make sure that these good people that we did hire stay here. And that would be item number one. Item number two would be if there was a desire I had to do more or different, right? Because this is a task I've already accepted, that, hey, I'm now the employee problem guy, right? And I'll do that. But if I all of a sudden were like, hey, there's a major opportunity, goal, desire that I have to take on, I have to delegate a task. And it sounds like for this particular person, this might take up 40 to 50% of my week. So if I could free up that time to focus on something else, knowing that the person would at least do 80% of what I could do, I would feel comfortable doing that. If I lost 20 of the employees, but I didn't have to do the work, I could generate enough revenue to hire another 50 to 100 employees. And remember, a CEO's 2 jobs, okay? Job number one is generate revenue. And I don't mean go out there and do sales calls. I mean find opportunities, develop good relationships, put the company in a position to drive more revenue. Number 2 is development. And they have to develop the product, the process, and the people. So this is always going to be part of my job, is development of the people. But I've already developed the people. I don't want to retain them anymore. Okay, so that's my answer. I hope it wasn't too long-winded for you, Brad.
Well, let's see if Tom can come up with anything original.
For the first answer, I'm not going to be as original, but I'm going to take it in a little different direction. I think retention is definitely a big driver of the success of any organization, and a bigger success of a good HR department. I think that's number one. And the reason why I say retention is usually the motivator is, if I'm losing a lot of people, that means I'm doing something very wrong. And the thing I'm probably doing wrong is onboarding. And I probably don't have a great process, or I don't have someone who can manage that onboarding process for people. Because the way you onboard somebody into your company is probably the most important predictor of whether or not they're going to stay with you or not. And that's a major assumption I'm making. But from my experience, when the first thing that I hear in most places, yes.
Can you just explain to Brad your previous, because he might not know. We don't tell everybody everything.
Yeah. So I was in, for the last 15 years in my healthcare career, I was in operations. So I was always hiring people, not always firing some. But I saw a lot of the exit interview questionnaires when people would leave an organization. And the number one thing that I would see almost all the time was the onboarding. There was no training. I had to figure things out for myself.
And tell them the scope of how many people you oversaw.
I had at one point in my portfolio 700 people in my portfolio alone. I worked for a company that had 3,000 employees. I had 700 in my portfolio over 16 locations, 500 staff, 200 physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs. So I've had a very large experience with this and worked very much side by side with HR. And the number one is how well you onboard somebody predicts whether or not they're going to make it and survive in your organization and churn relatively quickly. I mean, in my industry, in healthcare, that churn rate is between, I think it's 17 and 27%. And that's like every 1 to 2 years that's happening, because most people are not staying more than 2 years. But the better the onboarding, the better chances that that person's going to stay beyond the 2-year period. The other thing that I would probably do is, because I'm a little bit more need to be slapped in the face sometimes, is when I get that first either complaint or lawsuit from an employee that I may have terminated, or from a current employee who's having an issue that now we don't know about because it's not being managed properly. And what I would be looking for at that point is someone in HR to train my managers on how to manage people. Because if I don't have the opportunity to teach all of my managers how to manage, and we don't have a process for progressive discipline or put people on performance improvement plans and don't have those things, that could lead to really poor decision making when it comes to terminating somebody. Even in states that are, at will employees, you still have to have some kind of a paper trail. But one of my bosses learned that the hard way when we got slapped with a lawsuit, and I was like, we need either a labor lawyer or we need an HR consultant. And that's exactly what brought it in and started to change our whole dynamic. So it's more of that drastic, I just got slapped with a lawsuit. And full admit, I've been involved in those, and they're not pretty, and they are and if I didn't have the HR support that I was given through the company over all the time, though, I would have lost those lawsuits. The organization would have had to pay things and do things, but because we had the right support, we could avoid a lot of those instances.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. So for anybody that's listening, all states are at will states except one. Only one state out of 50. No? Okay, Adam, what do you got? Which one is it?
Oh, what? It's New York or California. Come on.
No?
Oh, I thought it was
Montana. Montana is the only state in the nation that is not at will. Right. I would say 99% of people would say New York or California, right? Or Massachusetts, right? But nope, Montana, good old Montana.
That's crazy.
What I think resonates the most there, because, Tom, Adam, all of your points are valid. Tom, you talked a lot about onboarding. I've always described onboarding as decreasing time to productivity. And again, I am speaking to an employer. My client is an employer, right? An owner. And, we live in a world where you don't have the choice to start paying your new hire until they get productive. You have to start paying your new hire the day they start. So you are incentivized as an employer to get that individual to start producing in whatever job that they were hired to do. And that is what a great onboarding program does, is it decreases time to productivity.
That's a great way to look at it. I never thought about that in that way. And yes, you're 100% right, because in my experience, we would give people 3 months to onboard. And that was kind of like just a status quo kind of thing, and never really, I don't think anyone ever challenged that. And the way you just reframed that to say that this is about decreasing the amount of time it gets to making them productive, I'm sure you could probably shorten that 90-day period in half. But it has to be an effective onboarding program that's going to result in that decreased time to productivity. So it's the latency. Yeah.
Just think about doing that for 1 employee, 10 employees, 50 employees. When you start saying, hey, this is how it's going to be across the organization, now we're actually talking about back to revenue generation or saved money, right? Now we're starting talking about some real dollars here.
I never thought of it that way. That's a really great way to frame it for people.
Well, I'm the HR guy.
All right.
What do we do?
Does this answer your questions, or is it
Yeah,
useful?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, so we have 8 more minutes until we need to go. We have Shameen calling in. Let's see, with a question. Let's see if I can check that. How does this? Let's see. Here we go.
Oh, here we are. Hey, Shameen.
Hey guys, so that was me. I couldn't hear anything other than you guys. I don't know what the question being asked.
Well, you're here, pal. So you're in the live call-in show. So we do have 7 minutes left. So what question do you have for us, pal?
So I have one of my employees. So I'm paying him really good salary, but now that I'm thinking the work that he does, I can hire 3 more people and be able to do the similar work. But the trust that I have on him, it's beyond unbelievable because when I'm not there, he's able to run the show. So I'm thinking, should I keep him around or should I hire 3 more people that can do more work than him and expand the business out? So what do you guys think on that?
So let me ask you a question then in return is, if you lost him tomorrow, would you pay somebody else the same exact rate, more or less, to fill his role?
Well, so if I fired him, if I let him...
No, not fired him. If you lost him, if he went and decided to go work for me.
Then I would have to come in and do everything that he's doing.
Yes, but if you then were going to hire a new person, would you pay the same amount of money, less money, or more money to replace him?
I would pay less money because I can train somebody else to do the same work. But what he does is really good, and I can rest in peace and leave things off to him because I know he knows his stuff. And if I'm not here, he's able to handle it.
That's your answer. It's not good or bad. It's your answer. So here's the thing that many new business owners don't consider when making financial decisions. They don't consider how much their time is worth. We just had a business owner that Tom and I have worked with for about a year now. He went from $0 to $500,000 this year. He runs a gutter cleaning business, and he didn't even work in that full time. And he was talking about he's going to go train this new salesperson. And this gentleman is an expert at sales. He was going to train this salesperson. When we calculated out what his time is worth, it was worth $611 per hour. So in order for him to spend this 3 months training, it was going to cost him almost $55,000 of his time. And what Tom proposed to him is, hey, how much would it cost to hire a top salesperson that doesn't need to be trained? And he said $85,000 per year plus commission, but I don't have that money to spend right now. And then when we calculated it out, that would have cost about $26,000 over the 3 months in payroll. So this business owner was willing to spend $55,000 of his time, but not $25,000 of his money. And what I'm telling you, Shamim, and what many business owners should hear, is you have to value your time and understand how you're investing that, because that time could be used any way you choose. And if you're using it to train somebody, is it better for you to hire someone who is already trained at a higher dollar amount versus using your time and that person's time simultaneously to do the same exact thing? So it's something that you would have to consider. So when you're looking at, should I hire 3 people for this one person? Well, can they do more work? Can they do more productivity? And how much of your time will that take? Because you may have to train 3 people and then you'll have 0 people working for the next X amount of time. So these are the considerations that you would have to take under advisement in order to make that decision. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. So I did thought about it. I was like, you know what? If I let him go, I can have 3 more people that can do 3x amount of work. But again, I have to train them. The type of business that I'm in, it's really about employee trust because they can replicate this and do it themselves. So this individual that I have that works for me, he's really loyal, right? He has, access to all my informations that are required to run the business. So now if I place somebody else in his place, I'm not sure if they can satisfy me in terms of, me not being able to be there and him running the show.
You're saying 2 things here. The trust that he can run the ship when you're not running it. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, that's very hard to find. And then the other side is what you said is the trust that they can go start their own thing. They have my information. Well, there's plenty of contracts that you can do with that. And if you were a bigger size, I would refer you to Brad and he would help you handle all of that stuff. But the main piece here is that you have to start understanding that they came to work for you for a reason. They don't own their own business already for a reason. Even when they learn the skills, they may not want to go do all the work to start a business. And if they do, that means you are an amazing business owner. The greatest satisfaction satisfaction and compliment I have gotten over my 25-year career is when someone left me, started their own thing, and ended up doing as well or better than me. And I've had a few of them do much better than me. It's a compliment to how good I am. And there is more people to come. And I still talk to those people today, and I congratulate them on their massive success. Okay, but that is a compliment to the work that you've done. We don't need permanency from anything.
So I'm seeing it as like, if this person, because every trade there's a secret to, right? So he knows the ins and out of the business the way I'm running it. So if he replicates it, right, he can make 10x more money than what I'm giving him as a salary. I see it more of like, okay, he can use.
So you know that because you know how to run the business. Do you understand what it would take that person to set up the opportunity to make 10x that money? Like, there's a lot. So listen, I have plenty of financial advisors that have worked for me. Okay. And what happens is they make less money because they work for me, and they make less money because I work for this person and that. But there's stuff that comes along the path of doing it all on your own. I have a gentleman that came to work for us, and he already owns his company, and he's willing to take less money because the requirements for him to set up his own business would take so much time, so much money, so much effort, so much knowledge. It's easier for me to get paid a little bit less and not have to do all this extra work and spend all this extra time. So the big piece of that is, yes, someone can leave and they can take, if you truly have trade secrets, you can avoid that with contracts. But you can Tom wants to jump in, and I will in a second here, Tom. I just want to finish my concept there. If you're just letting yourself think, I'm going to lose somebody and they're going to do better than me, you're always going to be in that lack mindset. You're always going to be in a position to not allow yourself to grow. People are going to leave you, and they are going to become your competitors, and you have to accept that.
So, Shamim, real quick, what is the main reason for why you're even considering this change?
So the main reason is my overheads are really expensive right now.
There you go. Okay, good. You answered my question.
I want to get more people on board.
No, hold on. Before you say that, I want you to change, and this is every business owner makes this mistake when they start out and they start to hire people, or they're looking at the money piece. The problem is you're seeing this employee as a cost and not as an investment. Employees are investments in your freedom. They're investments in you not having to do some of the work. They're investments in you being able to rest in peace, as you said, because they can do the job really well. I've said this in my corporate experience, and I'll say it to you even in small business. Firing or laying off people and trying to replace them with more people for less pay never works. It's not the solution when you're trying to cut costs. The answer is to go out and make more business and to generate more revenue, because you're going to need those people to help you generate the revenue. And if you see people as an investment that you're making in your company and in yourself versus a cost that you're expending every single payroll, that's what has to change, okay? Because people, resources, and good resources are really hard to come by. And if you have a gem, you don't want to be penny wise and dollar foolish here. If he's really good, keep investing in him. Don't try to replace him with less, because you're going to get what you pay for.
Absolutely. No, he's fantastic. Like you said, I don't have to be there necessarily to run the business. Right. I have full trust on him. Yeah. He can run the whole entire operation.
And how much would you really be saving if you went this route?
If I were to get him out, then I can get 3 more people and...
Full-time?
Full-time, yes. 3 more people that can do 3x work.
All right.
And they will not be able to run it the way he runs it. And I'm
exactly, because you're going to have 3 more people to have to manage instead of just managing one. So I would manage just one and keep the resource that I have and figure out another cost-cutting measure that you can employ.
Shamim, we have to wrap this up. But I'm going to leave you with one note. We have a T-shirt that and a saying. It's end, not or. Do both. Hire 3 more people and keep this guy. All right, everyone. Have a great night.